Hey, what's good, everybody? This your boy Twice.
And it's your girl Tay.
Welcome to another episode of Facts and Feelings. Today we're going to be discussing the shooting at Apalachee, and we titled this one "Prayers for Apalachee." So, what we want y'all to do right now, man, is just go on and share out the podcast, and we'll be right back with you in a hot second. Don't forget now, share it out.
I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry start to build. I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry start to build. I wonder if it's facts that you feeling. I love the fact you chillin'. These hours fly by when you and I is chillin'. These hours fly by, feel like a couple minutes. Seen you on my timeline. Hold up, wait a minute, twice and take. Yeah, you know they always catching up. Keep us up to date, cause it's hard to keep up through the day.
And as you know, we back. We always give them a fact and a feeling. And I think the fact is pretty clear this time. Tay, there was a shooting at Apalachee High School in Georgia, and I believe that was, is it Winder, Georgia? I think that's what it was in Winder, Georgia. There was a shooting. That's the fact. And how we feel about it, well, we don't really know what's gonna come out because we haven't discussed it. We just gonna it's raw and uncut this time, just how we might feel about the entire thing. You got something you want to say, Tay, before we jump into it?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up. Yeah, pretty sad day. Again for our country with another school shooting, unfortunately, with lives lost. So yeah.
Exactly. And that's it. And like we said, we pretty much already said what the fact is. We know that there was a shooting yesterday. These days kind of be flying by. That was yesterday at Apalachee School in Georgia. I think last I looked, it was updated. One of the stations said that it was four deceased, and we had nine, at least nine, that was hospitalized. And this was at the hands of a 14-year-old student. Uh, it's very unfortunate, very tragic. And I think we got to say at this point, man, something has got to be done. Uh, we can discuss it, we can chop it up. If you're viewing from the Facebook page, then you can drop something in the comments and we can see it. I'll try to check on the YouTube as well. Instagram, I have it open so I'll be able to check it. But on IG, I'm sorry, on Facebook and on YouTube, it can pop up on the screen and we can put your question or your comments on the screen. Say what you want to say.
Yeah. So just, kind of getting it kicked off. Like I said, it's another sad time for our country. Of course, we know this happened yesterday, but these effects and everything will linger, you know what I'm saying, for years to come, not only for the country, but most importantly, for those family members, those students, and those friends, and just the community around Appalachia. So, yeah. Just really sad.
Right. And this kind of jogs my mind all the way back to I remember when we first started hearing about these school shootings. I think Columbine might have been the first, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, it was either that or Pearl, Mississippi, and that was my point. A lot of people don't realize or don't really even think about, let it cross their mind that this can happen anywhere. And for me, that kind of started out early when old Luke, I can't think of his last name right now, I want to say Woodham, but he did the school shooting here in Pearl, Mississippi. We really don't know what's on somebody else's mind, what they're going through. And the mind is I don't want to say it's a crazy thing, but it's a unique thing. Sometimes that mind can tell us to do some very, very dangerous stuff that hurts other people. And I really haven't really just wrapped my mind around what makes somebody, I could say what make them want to go to school and hurt people in this case, because he had peers and teachers that died. The young man that's accused of doing this. But I say, I want to say what makes them go into a school table. We also know that here more recently, it has been. I think it was in Miami. Someone supposedly went up in a mall.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different places. So one thing we do know is that we got to have some kind of got to do something about gun control.
Yeah, we do. And that's always one of those topics that, kind of get a little argumentative
Hmm.
amongst people that are gun owners. We own a gun.
Right,
But here's the thing. Guns aren't necessarily the problem. It's
right.
the people that are obtaining the guns. So that's
Thanks.
the reason why we need more gun control. We need more safety around who has access to guns. And so when we're looking at who has access to them, um, we have to look at the mental status of people. We have to look at mental backgrounds, but the reality of that is we can be sane today and insane tomorrow, depending on what our life entails, what we experienced in life. Not even just on the school level, but even on jobs. You go into a job that you're dependent on for your primary resource, and or as your primary resource, or some people look at it as being their source. But here's what's happening. You go in and you get fired from a job and you're instantly angry with everybody. You're not just
Mhm.
angry, with the person that terminated you. Sometimes you got to really look at, like, what did you do to, put yourself in this position? And sometimes you may not have done anything. It could have been a biased termination, but all those people in that job didn't do that to you. So, but people will
Right,
retaliate and go back and shoot up and kill people. And even with the school shootings, sometimes kids are being bullied and different things of that nature, but everybody suffers because of that. So we got to get to the underlying reasoning behind people's mindset as to why they do what they do. And in this situation, the young man was actually apprehended, so they're able to investigate more, and they have
right.
been asking for the public to give them some patience. But listen, as parents, if you know you own a gun, and then we know it was a situation with this kid previously, you
See,
know,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
it was a situation, according to the news, there was a situation with this kid previously where there were already some concerns and red flags around this kid, and just the behaviors and everything. And so going into the school, they already knew there were concerns with him enrolling in the school. And so I think, if I'm not mistaken, the dad assured them that the youth did not have access to any weapons.
Okay.
And so, but now we have September 4th, that took place.
Hmm.
So you can't always control what your kids gain access to outside of you. But if you have weapons in your home, parents got to be more responsible in making sure that those things are locked up. They need to be in a locked box to ensure that their kids are not gaining access to them. And just got to have more control over who your kids are communicating with on that phone, on social media, and things of that nature. And then just keeping it real, sometimes you just don't have no control over it, because they could be communicating with somebody at the school. You know what I'm saying? So
Right, right. And
yeah.
see, just adding to that, that was one of the things that I was going to discuss. But before we jump into that, I think one of the things that has to happen, I don't know how it's going to happen or how manageable it is. It's kind of like how Second Chronicles 7:14 tell us that if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, pray. Then, it's like what always get me is there's an if there. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so when it comes to this gun control, we know, yeah, they do need to monitor who buying guns.
Hmm.
And I think they do that, but we know that there's a black market for guns. But
Yeah.
then it's sometimes just these guns that's on the street is what we really have to be worried about in a lot of crime. But with this situation, uh, I'm guessing maybe this young man was using a family owned weapon, maybe.
Hmm.
But you really enlightened me when you said that there had been a previous situation, because I
Hmm.
kind of just skimmed past something earlier and I didn't read it, where it said that the school might have had prior knowledge. So this
Hmm.
kind of sheds light on that for me. Yeah. if there's some prior knowledge and there's already some situations, there needs to be a game plan intact. I mean, he's not before teen, but that even sounds crazy saying he's not before teen. Look what this 14-year-old has just done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing I think when you have someone coming from the outside, which is some of the things we've seen both. We've seen people just running up in the school, shooting them up,
Right,
and
right.
and, and then we've seen students do it. So I think there has to be a unique game plan because there has to be a game plan for outsiders, and then there has to
Hmm.
be a game plan for insiders, obviously.
Right, right. And and then another thing, like you sent me a video and I was listening to the video, and one of the students that they interviewed, the young lady, mentioned to the reporter that they don't have metal detectors at the
Hmm.
school. And so at this point in time, I don't care what neighborhood, what community your school is located in, every school needs to have a metal detector. They just do. I mean, that's one of the first preventive methods that can be utilized. They mentioned that once you come in, the door is locked behind you. So at least if the youth or the student was coming through the metal detector, maybe it could have gone off, you know what I'm saying? And they
Hmm.
pulled the kid to the side and was able to kind of get control of the situation before he had an opportunity to utilize that weapon. Um, but at this point, I think all schools, it just needs to be like a part of the requirements for opening up the doors is having a working metal detector. And I feel like any school that does not have it is outdated at this point. It doesn't matter because, as I'm looking at this, I went to pull it up to see in Columbine was the first school shooting. But when I get to pulling this up and I'm looking at all these dates and all these years of school
Yeah.
shootings, it doesn't matter if it's a neighborhood where there's the economic makeup is high, or if it's a low
Oh no.
economic standings, around the community or not. At this point, we just need them to make sure that we're able to do whatever we can to protect our children.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah,
That's
just really sad.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. I didn't mean to cut you off, but when I say that's a whole other conversation, because when you get to the inner city, where they feel like there's problems or there's
Hmm.
problem youth, that's
Yeah.
where you're gonna find your metal detectors. But when you look
Mhm.
at a lot of these school shootings, that's not where they at. So put the same
Right.
resources into those schools that you do where you think it's a problem. Just at this point in time, every student, every teacher needs to have, I don't want to say grace, but needs to have feel protected. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
Things can still get by metal detectors. We know that, but at least have them up. Don't just assume ain't nothing gonna happen bad at your school or in your district and not
Yeah.
have those metal detectors up. That should be a
Yeah.
part of the, but if moving forward, that should just be a part of the budget. We gonna
Yeah.
budget uh putting some metal detectors up because when you send your child to school, you're anticipating them coming back home.
Mhm.
We're already worried about other things that's going on in the world, like kidnapping, and it's the world is just a crazy place. So you already know that other things can happen with being shot. And here, this I'm looking at something that I seen on another page where somebody posted, and I guess this is the sister. She was saying, "Thank you to everyone that shared. Unfortunately, my brother did not make it out of the school alive." Then we got here something about the math teacher, the male teacher that died. The young lady, somebody named Sierra, posted saying that I love you, Taylor. So not only did kids not return home, but teachers came to school to educate young children
Mhm.
and didn't make it home. And all they did that day was get up and go to work.
Right, right, yeah, and it's so unfortunate. And I do want to make a correction. Pearl, Mississippi, was the first shooting in 1997, and
Okay.
Columbine was in
Okay.
1999. But it's really sad because you're investing in the lives of the future, because children are the future, and so you're investing in the lives of the future only to be taken out by that by the future generation. So, like you said, they left home with the intentions of returning home, and we know we can leave home and be in a car accident or anything and not return, but to be taken out, in this way, it's really alarming. And just as we were just mentioning about the metal detectors, when you were saying how in some of the inner city schools, the first thing that you see in those schools are metal detectors when you walk in. And we often talk about how educational resources need to be balanced, and it needs to be consistent and fair across the board. So what's happening in one school district needs to be the same as of what's happening in the other one, and every school needs to receive that funding that another school has. There
Right.
shouldn't be any schools in our country that are providing laptops for kids to use and another school that's not at this point, because
Right.
we're living in a technology age. And so with that same sentiment in mind, there should be no school that doesn't have a metal detector with all these school shootings going on. Yeah, it just shouldn't be.
And adding to that point, Carmen said that I don't think districts have active shooter drills as often as they should. I say at least one per year. Some districts don't ever have them. To be honest with you, Tay, I don't know if I ever heard our kids say they had a active shooter drill when they were in school. I could have just forgot.
So so yeah, they did, but I didn't hear of it often. And to be honest, it needs to be more than once a year, because it could happen at any time. And just like these kids, they talked about how they had the active shooter drill, but they didn't actually do the drill. It was more taught to them and stated what to do, but they need to actually go through the motions of it all. And I do remember in Clinton, I remember at Clinton High, them actually going through it because they closed the doors and locked the doors and everything. So they
That sounds
have
familiar.
gone, yeah, they have gone through it. They've taught the teachers to cut the lights off and everything, put stuff in front of the door to try to barricade, the kids in, and then they go to a corner that's not visible to the actual glass in the door. So they do that, and that's really, really good. And I'm so glad that that's something that they do in our district. But I think that that's something that they need to do once to twice every if it's nothing but once every 9 weeks, once in the fall, once in the spring. It needs to be done more than once a year, because we don't know when to be ready. So therefore we need to be ready at all times. You know what I'm saying? So it could be a kid that have gotten into a fight, and it has nothing to do with any other kids at that school, but they decided to come up in that school and just shoot it up, turn it into a war zone, or just a mental health condition, or whatever. But we need to have these kids ready. We don't need nobody fumbling. You already gonna be caught off guard, so they need to at least know what to do because they've been taught what to do.
Right,
So
right. And
yeah.
another thing Carmen said is that they give really good data. You
Hmm.
do, whenever you run a drill, you are able to just gather data. Here's one thing that I thought, and this is just us just chopping it up because this is not necessarily our expertise, but we can
Hmm.
give some insight on it. These drills, like when we used to have fire drills in school, we didn't always know they was playing right. The thing just
Hmm.
went off. So
Right.
what I was thinking about was the side of it where if it's unannounced, here's the deal: if the students don't know that they're going to have an active shooter drill, and you call one, like what does that do to them emotionally, fearfully? Like you scare the crap out of them, and it wasn't real. But
Hmm.
the opposite side of that is they know and then they don't take it serious. So is the data really valid if everybody not taking it serious? And if you
Hmm.
find somebody not taking it serious, is it consequences?
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, it should be some consequences, like you
Hmm.
detention, a day out, like you didn't take this serious, and one day this could be real. Like you just looked at a list, I'm supposed, from Pearl to Columbine to Apalachee. There is a list in multiple different states where this has happened. And guess what? At any given time, it could be your school. At any given time, it could be our schools. So, like, what are we gonna do when we get Pastor Hooten just say praying for strategies. Strategies
Yeah.
definitely are needed, Pastor.
Hmm. Yeah, we definitely got to have a game plan. And here's the thing, I remember the drill at Clinton so vividly because I was up there one day when they had it. And that was one of the things that I can't remember the principal's name, but when we did some volunteering up there years ago, we always see him in the community. He had his twins, I think, went through
Oh yeah, Heath, Mr. Heath.
yes, Mr.
Heath.
Heath. I remember him getting onto a student because the student was playing around,
Mm-hmm.
in the hallway. And so they took it I don't know what they're doing now, but in that moment, they took it very seriously. And I know, usually when there's a fire drill, if students aren't participating in it, there are consequences. So I think this needs to be no different. And parents just have to understand if their student have detention, because I don't feel like they need to be suspended, but if
Mm-hmm.
they have detention because of them horse playing during these type of drills, they need to understand it's for their safety and it's for their
Right.
good, because God forbid ever being in that situation and your student is the cause of that classroom
Mm-hmm.
being opening, or what I'm saying, being open to becoming victims of
Right.
a shooter. So, like, even on my job, we have active shooter, trainings that we have to go through. And they teach us some of the same things: to turn off the lights, lock the door, barricade yourself, and get quiet. Don't try to play, like you're a tough guy in a situation with somebody with a gun on the other side. So and there's other, little drills. I'm just not gonna communicate them, but there's
Right.
other drills, and steps that we have to take if we're in that type of situation. And I think this needs to be a standard. It's sad that it has to be a standard, but this needs to be a standard in all places of employment as well as schools. It just does, because this is what we're living in. This is the era that we're living in right now,
Right.
unfortunately.
And that
So
is a fact. That
yeah,
is a fact.
most
Uh,
definitely.
Definitely, just some. It don't even feel right saying got good conversation because of the
Yeah.
reality of what we're discussing. But things, man, it grieves me. Yesterday, as I was working, I kind of seen it come across my phone, maybe, and then
Mhm.
somebody put it in the group chat at work. And as you know, we're from all over the place as far as my job is, and some people didn't know. And then there was a brother that I just linked up with in the SEC band group, and he actually he kind of posted that. Well, of course he's in Georgia, but he knows somebody that was affected by it. So as we know,
Mhm.
the world is nowhere near as big as it used to be. You
No, it
subject to
isn't.
have a social media friend that you might not even know personally or in real life, but it's easy for things to touch us or affect us or people that we know because of technology. The world has just shrunk, but
Yeah.
definitely some things need to be put in place, and we are definitely praying for that community,
Yeah.
that school district, those families, because there were some kids. Man, I watched one video. I didn't even get a chance to see the one that I sent to you, Tay, but I watched one where somebody was just talking about how a kid was just talking about the wounded people that he had to witness, or that he or she had to see in that process. And these visions, these realities, these memories can really, really, really navigate through life with them. If they and so now we're looking at not just grief counseling, but we don't know what individual might have to have counseling from here on out. What family may be have to deal with, like this kid saying, "Hey, I don't want to go to that school no more. I can't walk in that school no more." So how does this
Mhm.
inconvenience the parents? Because now we have to try to find another school to get this kid to, and our neighboring districts don't work with them to let them come in just because it's traumatic for them to go with that. Like it's
Mhm.
all kind of stuff that can just spin off of when situations like this happen.
Listen, it's trauma. That's what it is. It's a long lasting trauma that can lead to PTSD just from the sound of hearing a door close, you know what I'm saying, and hearing a box hit a floor that might be heavy. We're looking at these kids experiencing trauma, and I see Carmen's comment about the kids that was trying to help their teacher and had to witness their teacher pass away right in front of them. Like,
Wow.
man, I don't want to experience. I couldn't
Right.
imagine having to experience something like that.
At
And
that
just thinking
age.
about, yes, and thinking about even at my age right now, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I can only imagine the amount of sleepless nights that I would have just having to replay those things. Because a lot of times you replay things and you see it when you close your eyes, you
Right.
know.
You do.
And I hate that they have to experience that, and it really, upsets me for them, and even more so these people who have lost children, because the schools are one of the places that you expect to be a safe space for your child. It's a learning
Absolutely.
environment. That's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to turn into a war zone or a crime scene. It's just not supposed to happen. And
Hmm.
and I really, really I hate that, because these are the areas, and we're not looking at an adult coming into the schools. We're looking at children that are students going into the schools. And I saw where a parent posted yesterday. She was making mention about how the teachers become upset with her because she tell them, yes, I'm sending my child to school with their cell phones, and yes, their cell phones are going to stay on. They'll be on silent, but they'll have them. And so there's a lot of, I see the pros and the cons to that, because when you
Hmm.
begin to say those type of things, sometimes the kids will give the teacher a little flack. My mama said I can have my phone here, you know what I'm saying? And you don't want it to be a distraction. But at the same time, if the teacher in the classroom can't get to their phone to try to call for help, then who gonna do it?
Right. That's real.
You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's just one of those catch 22 type things. Because I'm constantly checking on, our kids when they're at school. And I remember not long ago, one of the institutions that our girls was going to, there was a person walking on campus with a machine gun, and
Hmm.
this kid had an AR styled, rifle at the school. And so this person was just walking across the campus with a machine gun. There was several pictures of this person's sightings across campus, but the police could never find them.
Right. I
And
remember that.
so, yeah, so you're constantly checking on your child, and you don't want to feel like, I don't know where my kid is, I don't know how to get to them. Like, it's just a catch 22 there. Like,
Yeah.
just
And
uh,
even go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying, I don't know. I don't know,
Right. I was about to say, and I know you didn't say that particular institution name, but I was just thinking about our other child went to a completely different institution, and she
Mm-hmm.
was sitting in her car one night, and as we know, somebody opened her door and tried to get in the car with her, and if I'm not mistaken, there was supposedly a gun that was involved with that situation. I don't know if
Right.
that,
They were running from
yeah,
somebody.
they were running from
Yeah.
somebody, but he had
Yeah.
supposedly just pulled a gun on somebody, some basketball players,
Yeah.
and then ended up opening our child's door trying to get in like she was the getaway car. So
Yeah.
now it's late night and she's talking to the police, and we trying to figure out, do we need to take a
Yeah.
ride or what? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
in that situation, the campus police was very confident. I think they ended up talking to one of us, so we could just hear him in the background. Maybe that's what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And Pastor Hoot made a good point. He said that he believes schools and parents need stronger strategies to prevent problems like this. We should look in kids' school bags and bedrooms.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that 1,000%. And
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing that jumps out at me is always those latchkey kids as well. You know what I'm saying? So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if we do it when we can at home, and then the school do it, it might seem like a lot to some kids, but hey, that might be what gets you to 12th grade, not a high school. And I
Yeah.
brought up the latchkey kids because I do know that there's some parents that might have to leave home at like 5 o'clock and the bus don't come to well after that. So there are some kids that's getting on there, and you can look in there. Some of them can look, and then hey, just like how some young ladies that had to wear dresses would leave home with their dress, but by the time they make it to the school, they got their jeans on. So we know the
Mm-hmm.
children are sneaky, but I believe if there's an effort, like he
Yeah.
was saying, and you never know when it's going to be checked, then you're less
Yeah.
likely, and we stuck on this thing now. Watch this. The world is stuck on this thing now that you can't go into their personal belongings. And I say
Mm-hmm.
watch this because in my former position at work, I was literally told that if I was looking through, if anybody was under the age of 18, I had to talk to their parent, right, in the healthcare field.
Mm-hmm.
But if I looked in this person's chart and they was under the age of 18 and I seen they were pregnant, I couldn't tell mom. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
they say at that point they become an adult. It's like, man, what 16-year-old finna care for a baby, feed a baby, probably don't have no car to get the baby to the doctor. But all these rules are coming up for people that's underage to make
Yeah.
them feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just a lot of it really don't even make good logical sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, and that's why you gotta set rules and set the standards in the beginning and early
Mhm.
on with your children to know that what goes on under my roof, I'm gonna know about it. Just
Right.
like Pastor Hooten was saying, we need to know what's in these kids' school bags and bedrooms, and
Hmm.
I take it even a step further because some of these kids are driving. If we're providing them with cars. We need to know what's in their cars and their trunks and
Right.
and everything. We just need to know. We need to keep a
Right.
good handle on it. And I'm not ignorant to the fact that sometimes kids still pull the wolves over their parents' eyes and they do
Hmm.
things that you just don't know about. They can get a friend to hold on to some things for them or hide it out, in a place that you least likely would expect. But we gotta try to make sure we're covering the surface and doing what we can to prevent something from like this happening again. um
Absolutely.
and sometimes people are in denial because they feel like not my child, but what if your child? So we just need to do whatever we can to take every preventive method possible, just to make sure that we're doing our part as parents to keep not only our child and children safe, but also others' children that they're going to interact with, including in this situation, teachers. There was one teacher that said he got all his kids over into a corner and he hovered over them just to protect them.
Hmm.
So you may have some teachers that are just doing this for a job, but some of them are really in this thing because they're passionate about it and they're really, really wanting to protect their children because that's what they look at their students as being their children
Right.
when they're in their time, on their watch. So they really genuinely want to protect your children, at all costs. So let's do
Right.
what we can to just kind of help out. And when teachers are telling you that they're suspecting certain things about your kids, don't be so quick to get, offended and become defensive, but listen,
Right.
listen.
Let's
So
listen.
yeah, yeah, but definitely, continuing to lift up their community, those families and other kids and just the community as a whole, during another unfortunate school shooting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as Tay said, definitely praying for everybody that's involved, praying fervently, grieving with those families, grieving with their community, grieving with that faculty. And I don't really know where it's located in Georgia, but I know that it's because of families. Uh, it's going to always bleed outside the city, the county. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking
Hmm.
about how some people may have just graduated from college and new to an area, just got a job. So those local families that were affected have families outside of that area. So definitely got them covered. Before we get out here, looks like
Oh
Pastor
yeah.
said we should watch the movies and video games they view or play the planet or play that planet. Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of got into talking about that
And
at
Bible
Bible class.
study,
Yeah, in
yeah.
Bible study last night. That
Mm-hmm.
actually came up in Bible study last night. Because
Mm-hmm.
you look at, well,
GTA.
yeah, GTA, and we look
Yeah.
at Hollywood, and you thinking about that word entertainment, as Pastor has been breaking down lately. We look at entertainment, their Hollywood comes up with things to enter us. And when you look at tame, the word tame, I think that Week said that it meant to hold, like when you think of a
Mm-hmm.
container.
Containing.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they're trying to contain our trying to get our attention, contain our attention to be focused, whatever is on the screen, whether that be TV, movie, video game. And last night, Pastor Trailer and was talking about one particular movie where a guy actually came out. I think it was Harry Potter, where he said that
Mm-hmm.
the spells that was in the
Yeah. Yeah.
movie, yeah, they were really spells. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They were real
Yeah.
life spells. So we
Yeah.
definitely got to watch. And I'm glad Pastor Hooten brought that up because these kids are heavy, heavy, heavy on the video games.
Yeah.
If you think about the movie, we just want to see a plug for Forge. That young man, when it first came out, he stayed on the video game. Won't tell
Mm-hmm.
too much because I don't know who's seen it, but he stayed on the video game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
definitely, well,
Yeah.
that's a. Do you have
Yeah, I was
anything
just
else?
I was just gonna say when you was talking about like the Harry Potter thing and how Pastor mentioned last night how they used real spells and they said it was because they wanted to make it as realistic as possible.
Right,
So yeah, you kind of got to think about that. You want to use some, witchcrafty stuff on me,
right.
and utilize this and put this before my children,
Mm-hmm.
and me, so that it can feel as real as
Ain't that
possible.
something? You
Yeah.
got me. Hollywood has us taking our hard-earned money to pay for us and our children to have some form of entertainment, and the whole time they got motives. Ain't that something?
Hmm.
We paying you to try to plant something in us that's really ultimately gonna have us walking the wrong route or contain us where we don't need to be contained.
Hmm. Yeah. And like Demario was saying, yeah, video games are equivalent to movies, especially when it comes to spells, because most of the movies have matching video games.
Facts,
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we gotta watch it, y'all, because we don't know what the situation was with this 14-year-old kid. We know that they're still investigating and trying to put the pieces together, and they probably have found out, more things had, new developments, but they're probably not going to release it until they're able to package it the way that they want to present
Mm-hmm.
it, without presenting too much at one time, because I know this kid will have to stand trial. Um, but we need to watch what our kids are, pay attention to what they're watching, look at these video games, because my husband was even had a Xbox game at one time that he used to play, and I just
Max
remember,
Payne. That Max
yes, I
Payne.
remember how realistic it was, shooting somebody and seeing everything just, going all over the place. And it's become too realistic. They've gotten away
Mm-hmm.
from the stuff that I like Pac-Man. We ain't just no
Oh
little
yeah, no,
yellow
no, no, no.
bubble,
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
Pac-Man was. Ain't just
yeah,
going around
yeah,
eating these
yeah,
little
yeah,
ghosts no more.
yeah.
Like it's, yeah,
I'm about
it's
to say
serious.
we way past Donkey Kong.
Yeah, we way past y'all. And the duck out with Mario.
Right.
I love some Super Mario Brothers. So
And
we beyond that.
watch that. And
Yeah.
even when we were shooting in games back then, we weren't actually shooting people. Ain't that something?
No, it was
It was
ducks and
shooting
stuff.
ducks and
Yeah,
things of that nature. But
yeah,
yeah, we
yeah,
well past that.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think
So
that's about it for this episode. What you think, Tay?
yeah, yeah, I think so too.
Well,
Yeah.
we thank everybody that tuned in today. This was a topic that we know was hot. It did not necessarily hot, but it just happened. And so we
Yeah,
just
it's
kind of want to
relevant.
talk about it's relevant and
Hmm.
just talk about, just kind of put it in the air, man. Be thinking. I don't know how you might be as the speaking of the listeners are active in your communities, but like one of the guests today, Pastor Hooten was saying, we need some strategies. Be brainstorming, man. Go to the next PTA meeting. Like show up where you at, where you be, show up where your kids be, and voice your opinion,
Yeah.
and add to the answers. Let's come up with some answers for the problems
Yeah.
in our local communities.
Yeah. Go
uh
to them school board meetings.
that's it.
Show
and
up.
and this has been another episode of Facts and Feelings. This is your boy Twice,
And it's your girl Tay.
and we out of here.
I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you feel.